And welcome into the Clears Mud Podcast with your host, Peepaw Riveter and Banana Grabber. Sorry.
Hello.
We're having to redo this stream because Sunday I had extreme technical difficulties, and it was all because of a stinking USB driver. But I've done some testing. I'm fairly certain everything is fixed. Banana was gracious after having a hellacious day at work to agree to come on tonight, and for that I am very appreciative.
You're echoing.
No, I'm not. There's no way in hell I'm echoing. That's all a figment of your imagination.
You have reverb. Palsavar point in the chat. Mari992, what's up? What's up? How y'all doing today? We are still suffering from the antics of the new equipment and OBS's, planned obsolescence.
Planned obsolescence, yeah. I think the reverb should be gone now. Yeah, okay. Cool deal. So,
swag. We got swagger. I'm adopting the Beeple strategy, and I'm creating NFTs to scam people with by, it's like a cup of coffee, but like with a straw in it, and it says, like New World Order or something. I'm selling them for about $2,000 a piece. They're based off the Ethereum blockchain. You can DM me for those. I'll take your money and give you your little picture.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, man. Oh, well, okay. So now I think before we get into it, we can talk a little bit about Fireball. Your boy was on Fireball. I had every intentions of having Peanut Gallery come on the show Sunday, but because we had technical difficulties, that didn't happen. I have plans for her to come on and visit with us in the future. And I think I'm gonna go on her show. She's gonna come over on my show as well. And
she seems like a very lovely person from the small interaction I had with her.
Yes.
I forced her to watch me play Trombone Champ, and I don't think she was too pleased about that while you were figuring out your stuff, because I hopped into the call and you were still unable to communicate. You were incommunicado, and she was waiting around going, commenting on how adorable it was that you were struggling.
Yeah,
it fits the brand to be.
Here's the thing that's crazy about that, right? I'm a tech person. I have been doing IT work probably, I think it's safe to say, probably for longer than anybody listening in our chat and yourself. I've been doing the IT work for over 30 years.
Well, definitely longer than me, because I've never done IT work in my life. Put my computer together like Lego pieces,
Well, what I meant to say was I've been doing it longer than most of you guys have been alive, is what I meant to say. So,
gotcha.
Yes, Mr. Gamer, we are going to be talking about Piers Morgan here in a minute. Anyway, like I said, I've been doing this stuff for a while, and it's so it was kind of frustrating for me to have it, but like I said, I think I got everything rectified. I think we're good to go. So anyway, with that being said, went on to the Fireball. I was kindly, Salvo was gracious enough to extend an invitation to me. I accepted it. Me and Peanut went on there. We made it to round 2. But because I'm such a boomer and I don't get out much, we got knocked out because we could not identify logos or brands for companies, right? And so once the video was put back up, because Salvo's having to do some editing on it, once he gets it back up, I do want to go back and watch and freeze on that section where we were having to do the logo things to see kind of, was it just in the heat of the moment, kind of under the pressure that I just, having to come up with stuff that maybe do I know more than what I think I do? You know what I'm saying? So, but
you were just hamstrung by nerves a little bit or something.
I think so. I really do. I think it was a lot of that. I think it was a deal where, because there's a lot of pressure, and then there was and here's the thing about it, Salvo and then was having some technical difficulties with their Discord server that night, and there was some stuff that was going on, and anyway, but I think he's getting some people to help him out with that, and I think he's going to. Oh, hang on, we got a dono here. So
$10.
Palsavar Point says you did good on Fireball River. Well, Palsavar, man, I appreciate that. The most important thing is this: I think there was a lot of really good, fun, entertaining content that was created. There was everything from some really heated roast battles at time. That was all still fun. I mean, they did it in good spirits, and good sport. You know, there was some really heated, let's say, what they call them, blood sports, I guess is what they call those things.
Oh yeah. That was probably the most entertaining part, is when people started roasting each other and they didn't know where the line was, so they just kept going and escalating.
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there was also, I think we can say without a doubt, that most of us, when it comes to spelling, we're just horrible at spelling, you know. And but
good at it.
I will say this: Peanut and I did fine. We made it past, you know, the spelling challenges. We just got took out by brands. So, you know, and we got the word we had to spell, hodgepodge. And there was people telling me, yeah, and people was like, they never even heard of that word before. They didn't know, they had no idea, Banana.
How do you misspell hodgepodge?
We didn't. We spelled it correctly. We got it.
Oh,
there's some people saying they never even heard of that word before. I said, dude, that's a word we use in the South a lot. I mean,
hodgepodge. It's a hodgepodge of different ingredients all put together to make one big stew.
100%.
That's leftovers. Yeah, you have a hodgepodge.
Hodgepodge, exactly. It's just a
bag.
conglomeration. Yeah. So
yeah.
All right. So I think enough of that. I think people are probably sick of hearing about Fireball.
Fireball.
Yeah. So
I just like the fucking you know, what's his name? Salvo is dressed like a fucking bard. Anyways. Like, what was that about? He's wearing like court nobility clothing.
You know, Salvo is Salvo, brother. You know, he's a unique character. He's highly entertaining, and you know, everything he does is to elicit a belly laugh from people, right?
And I guess I'm not one to talk, because as Joey points out in chat, he says, "Why have you replaced Banana with a Cholo?" It's like, yeah, what's up, Holmes?
Yeah, God.
I got 20-inch 2 blades on my Impala, bro.
Jeez. Oh, mate. Well, let's get into this, because I don't want to go too late tonight, and you know, and you know, we both have work tomorrow and stuff. So, but let's move along, because I know people are here because they want to know about Piers Morgan. We're going to talk about that Piers Morgan and the shit. Now the words incel king, right?
Yeah.
All right. So here's what happened. Now, why is that not? Oh, I'm sorry. I gotta hit the right button here. Okay. So, I think it was this last week, Jorden Peterson went on a interview with Piers Morgan, right? And Variety Magazine was one of the ones that, you know, tweeted out this. They says, Jorden Peterson breaks down in tears when asked about Olivia Wilde calling him a hero to the incel community. And Jorden Peterson's response was, sure, why not? Okay. We're going to get into that title, because I don't think that title is correct. I think it's a little bit misleading there, right? As we say in the YouTube world, it's clickbait. But then we had a few other people, just, you know, randos out there, saying, like Callum here, says, Incel King Jorden Peterson cries about being referred to as the Incel King on Piers Morgan Uncensored. And he tags, you know, of course, Jorden. And
okay, well,
Peters.
like who is Jorden Peterson? Like,
okay, so Jorden Peterson, he got on my radar back. I'm not for sure. I've got another person that I associate in real life who is from Canada. And of course, Jorden Peterson is a Canadian. Well,
he got popular because of Bill C-16, right?
Yes, and that's, I think, because they were talking about that. And anyway, Jorden is a professor, has his a doctorate in, I believe it is philosophy. Is that correct, Banana?
I don't know. I don't know if he's a PhD or MD. I know he's a clinical psychologist. So like
Okay,
he
so he may
worked
be
in a
actually an
clinical setting
MD.
for years.
Yeah, he may actually be an
I'm
MD.
I'm not sure, but I do know
You know
he was a
what?
professor for Yale, and I know that he did like regular appearances on Canada's like this one political show in Canada, and he came to prominence over the Bill C-16 issue, which was compelled pronoun usage in Canada, meaning that like people would have to, if somebody identified as they them or neopronouns or anything like that,
Okay.
you would have to abide by their pronouns. If you misgendered them, it would be a hate crime, and it could be punishable by a fine or going
Okay.
before a civil rights tribunal. And he said, "No, I'm not going to use those pronouns," and it became a whole controversy, and they labeled him as alt-right when really he was just saying the whole point of not falling in line with Bill C-16 for him was a free speech issue. He wasn't going to cede linguistic territory to an authoritative body like the state, because it's the first time in English common law that Canada has ever compelled speech by its citizens. And he said that's a grave misstep, and I will not do that.
Yeah.
And so he got tarred and feathered publicly for that.
Yes. Okay. So he's a clinical psychologist. He has a let's see, he has a bachelor's degree in political science and a psychology degree from the University of Alberta and a PhD in clinical psychology.
Alberta.
Alberta, Canada. He has a clinical he's a PhD in clinical psychology from McGill University. So yep. he's well educated. Like you said, and like you said, he had exceptions, took exceptions with that bill, and that's when he also wrote a book. He wrote a book,
12 Rules for Life. Yeah,
12 Rules for Life. Correct.
Well, his original book was Maps of Meaning: Architecture for Belief in a Modern World, I think is what the subtitle is. But it was a little too non-approachable for the layman. Because Jorden Peterson is a kind of like a intellectual student of Carl Jung.
Yeah.
And he's fascinated with culture and how culture adapts over time in evolutionary biology. Yeah. And so his whole deal was looking at Carl Jung, because Carl Jung was kind of written off. Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud were the forefathers of psychology. And what happened back in the day is Sigmund Freud was adopted widely by the public and in science, but Carl Jung wasn't so much, because him and Freud had like a falling out, and they both kind of went after each other a bit. But Jung was kind of accosted for trying to start his own religion, because he would write in very hyper complex metaphors, and he would talk in really abstract language. Yeah. So people thought he was trying to write a new religion, but what he was doing was trying to explore depth psychology and the unconscious. That's a whole nother issue that takes way too long to explain. But for what it's worth, Peterson was an intellectual student of Jung, and he's pointing out that a cultural trend in societies where they go through a period of like Friedrich Nietzsche said, killing God, where they get rid of their value structures and religions.
Yeah.
And and then they have to adopt a new one. And so I guess that was the Enlightenment for Europe back in the day, whenever Nietzsche wrote about it. And now he's trying to point out another cycle in human history where this is happening. And usually whenever these cycles happen of like behavior where people are getting rid of their old religion or their old ethic or their old cultural norms, they select for something way more barbaric and maladaptive, something like genocide. Because they don't know how to recreate those moral substructures for their society, because they take thousands of years to craft. So anyways, that's all to say, Jorden Peterson saw a cultural trend. He tried to point it out and say, hey, we're going towards an authoritarian, we're going towards choosing for authoritarianism as a society unconsciously. We need to correct for that. And it's caused a lot of backlash publicly.
So anyway, so this guy Callum was talking about how he was crying on, and this farmer took a wife who has the Canadian flag as part of their tagline and 4 booster shots here. So they're well they're well boosted. Says Jorden Peterson crying makes my day. We go on here to a person by the name, their name's KJ. Says after years of hearing his name, I just found out who Jorden Peterson is. The same person, or this, excuse me, the same people that talk about how critical mental health is and how men need to open up more are mocking a man for crying because he feels bad on how suffering lonely men are constantly mocked wild. And so this person here
Good point.
says, yeah,
It's a good
says,
point you made.
oh yeah, says because he's a tricksy liar. Suffering lonely men have never been mocked. That is refutably untrue. Men who are entitled, they self-proclaim in incel groups and start hating on women for not being with them. That's what people are mocking, and they should. So right here, this person's even, but I think you're
okay. But wait, to Dare Emmanuel's point, a lot of people, and you can see an interview with Jorden Peterson with GQ, and this woman who is an Oxford fellow challenged him on the issue, and she actually did a pretty good job of being thorough in her questions that weren't so cheap. I mean, there were some cheap moments, but they were more. It was the best of the interviews circuit that he did. So, anyways, what she was pointing out, and it's kind of what Dare Emanuel is whistling to, is that Jorden Peterson is like they see him as a Trojan horse. So they see his answer to ideology as another sub ideology that could be adopted by a group of far right extremists. Because in the same way that Nietzsche wrote for his new Übermensch and his new transcending of valuations to create your own religion, he was adopted by the Nazis, and it was a grave misunderstanding of his work. And so the same point that these people are making publicly, even if they're not as cognizant or conscious of it as Miss Oxford Fellow for GQ, they're saying, well, in what way could your work be used to start a new movement that could go far away from what you ever wanted? Which means like you're establishing a statist or like a nationalist type overly masculine culture to respond in opposite to the feminization of men, modern feminization of men. It's like, well, there's a point there because his work really isn't.
Okay, and we got a donation here. So Pacifier Point donated another 10. Says people forget Jorden Peterson is also human man. Couldn't imagine being in the spotlight like him with his views, while today's value share trying to push him back.
The most infuriating part about this is their knee-jerk reaction to Peterson's answer to the feminization of men in society is that they almost haven't even read the book. Like it's insane because it almost seems like, and Joe Rogan had Jorden Peterson on a number of times over the years to kind of explain himself. No one has the attention span to pay attention. They just eat up a narrative. And
why
the
is
thing
that
is,
important? Banana, why is it important that they even read the book? Is that really even necessary?
I believe if you would want a firm understanding of some of these ideas and who they are, what they're trying to shove into society as a mimetic tool, I think you would want to understand who they are, what they're about.
Okay.
I mean, I've read Peterson's really, really fucking thoroughly. Like his book, I know it's like a cringe meme at this point. I don't really give a shit. His book, 12 Rules for Life, really helped me change, like, man. Like fucking fix a lot of my motivational structures and like fucking, figure shit out. It's sad that it took me that long in life to read a fucking book and figure it out. But like some people need that. So I don't know, like, it's like you can knock it all you want and you can meme on it and it works fine. It's just a cheap frame of reference, like he says in his own words, like to put anything into irrelevancy. It's like you can whittle down something profound or cliche over and over again into just being fucking fake and gay. But like you'll lead a very sad, miserable life full of jaded, morose behavior. It's like, because you won't think anything's meaningful or worthwhile.
Well, to your point, Pacivar said in chat, said Jorden Peterson did write a good book. Read it about 4 years ago. Helped me turn my life around, to be honest. Yeah.
And that's the thing that's what infuriates. Is like people are so worried about Jorden Peterson being a figure for like for men to be toxically masculine and start some kind of weird ass Margaret Atwood dystopia where we subjugate women. It can be further from what Jorden Peterson would like publicly talks about. I mean, or even wrote in his books. So it's just a silly reaction to think that he's some kind of chauvinist, nationalistic type dude.
So Trad Femme, I guess that's how you'd say
Trad Femme.
Trad
You know what trad is, right? Trad wife.
No, I don't know.
It's like traditional, like those fucking like pioneer woman type shit, like traditional, like traditional woman.
So this is like a traditional feminist, I guess.
Or she's memeing, or she's being sarcastic. Either one.
Anyway, says I am become death destroyer. Griffs says telling people that Jorden Peterson is helping you become a man is possibly one of the most embarrassing self-owns one could muster.
See, and it's like this right here is the exact fucking evidence for like the vitriol. It's like these people are deeply dishonest publicly to a point where like the game that's being played is not being talked about nearly as much, which is the fact that like these fucking neolibs on Twitter that hide behind empathy and care in justice are actually just using it as a baton in a mask to harm people they disdain. So it's like if you like truly like are in opposition with someone, wouldn't you want them to fucking like come around to your side and you care about them as individuals? You see them as human beings, right? Or are you going to dehumanize them on a platform to just further your cause? I mean, because I don't see any effort of humanization, and it's like again, like this isn't a very funny take, but if we're being completely serious, like at what point do you take anything seriously? Like where you could like you could care that some people are struggling in life and actually reach out to fucking help them. No, you're just gonna make fun of them for trying. It's like somebody who could be on their last fucking rope or whatever. They're fucking they're like, you know what? They just pick up this book and it's the last thing they're gonna fucking try to do. It's like you're gonna make fun of them for that.
So
what a piece of shit behavior. Like
so here's I want to kind of because that last tweet I showed you guys. It really kind of resonated really hard with me, right? Because this person says telling people that Jorden Peterson is helping you become a man is possibly one of the most embarrassing self-owns one could muster up. And here's what I would say to that person if they were so as inclined to have a conversation with me. Let's take a look at let's just take a broad global look at the world today. Now, divorce rates are at an all-time high, right? You have I'm going to talk specifically to about men here, okay? I'm going to address something here. Men are creating babies everywhere, and while they may be financially in some cases, meeting their fiduciary obligations, they are not meeting the biological responsibilities of a father. Being a father, being a dad, transcends just paying money and making sure that you have a roof over the child's head or food for its belly or clothes on its back. That is a large part of the equation, but it is not this total and summality of it all, right? When I was a kid growing up, I had a father that instilled in me what it was to be a man. I had uncles, I had grandfathers that showed me, taught me what it was to be a man, and instilled in me and drilled into me. There were certain things that this is what a man does, right? Yes, you meet all those things that I said. You provide financially, you provide a home, you provide clothing, you provide food, you provide safety, right? But you also have to provide love and nurturing, and you have to guide young men on how to treat people around them. You have to guide young men how to treat ladies. And here's what else a lot of people don't understand. It is the responsibility and duties of a father to instill in their daughters on certain expectations from any suitors that would come at them and want to date them and ultimately marry them, to show them this is what a man is. This is what your bar should be. It should be way up here and not way down here. And we don't have that now.
Yeah, and the problem is, it's such a deeply rooted issue in culture, and it's like this is kind of the point of what Jorden Piers. We're in such a state of cultural decay.
Yes.
That like even pointing out those issues people see that as antiquated because the family institution or the institution of family or church and family, I guess I don't know, the family at its core has been attacked by the
nucleus family, the core nucleus family,
nuclear family. Yeah, it's been attacked so heavily by the fucking state, by pop culture. Like it's not even funny. It's to our own detriment. That's the funniest part. Like you don't even have to be a Christian or like part of a fucking group to understand that. Like that how families can be important. I mean, there's psychological literature that goes into it too, like a two fucking family.
I know saying those things are really antiquated. It's like Banana saying, and they're looked at as misogynistic.
It's stupid that it is. But it's profoundly stupid because we've regressed to a level of misunderstanding and immaturity that I don't think is even remotely appropriate. Like it's hilarious that we're intellectually like giants, but we have the wisdom and spiritual wisdom of like 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
As a nation. Because we've tossed out things that were sacred for in lieu of rationality, which is because people thought that rationality is what took supremacy, and it's not the case. I mean, you can look. There's a good book for this. It's called The Master and His Emissary. It's a fucking dense book, but it's about the bifurcation of the brain, and it's about hemispheric specialization. So left and right hemisphere of the brain, or the left and right,
So left brain, right brain. Gotcha.
Right. It's the bicameral mind, and that your left brain rationalizes and is specialized for like math, logical equations, stuff like that for rationality.
That's me. I'm a right brainer.
The right brain specializes for like poetry, religion.
Hang on. I thought the right brain was all the analytical part and like the numbers and math, And
I mean, we can Google it later, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct on that.
Whatever. Whichever side is for the numbers and mathematic and logical, that's me.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah. Hemispheric totalitarian like view is incorrect. The two serve each other. Yeah. And it's in this book, Ian McGillicrest posits that the right hemisphere of the brain is actually what everything is nested in, because there's more research done on sight and vision that's included to another book called, I think it's Maps of Meaning, or it's 12 Rules for Life. Anyways, it's evolutionary biology on how sight was formed, and it's actually the neuroscience on sight shows in a fucking huge summary that you see meaning first as opposed to objects. So like you'll see like it's like when you see a mailbox.
Yeah.
Like you see mailbox. You don't see wooden pole, metal frame, the nails, and the flag as a plastic flag. You see mailbox.
Yes.
So meaning is first, and then the rationality and the logic go into the equation later. But meaning comes first. That's the Darwin selection.
Yeah.
So what the idea is with that is that like your brain operates at a religious level first, and then a logical one secondary. So religion, like the religious or the mythological brain, actually takes supremacy, and it shouldn't be disregarded. Essentially, that's kind of a really fucking dense subject. But,
so Marie 992 in the chat says, do any of the books that you are talking about have audiobooks? Me and reading don't get into fights. So
it's funny, Mari 1992. That's actually how I started reading a shit ton. For my job, I drive all the time, fucking day, and I don't have time to read, so I just have an Audible subscription. And you can get Maps of Meaning, you can get 12 Rules for Life. Those are Jorden Peterson books. You can get fucking we'll create a reading list. How about that? I'll put it in the Discord.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Why don't you create a reading list for all these books that you've been dropping here, all this knowledge, and so our our followers.
Well, I'm just saying the neuroscience pans out to what I'm saying. I'm not saying like everyone has to fucking choose a religion. I'm saying people, due to their epigenetic like selection of like, so how people are like the environment they're born to, and their predispositions and temperament for their personality. You can tell if they're going to be a religious person or an atheist by their development, and a lot of that is out of our control. Like, so there's a lot of like some biological determinism that goes into it. I'm getting really autistic. Let's continue with the story. Sorry.
Yeah. So anyway, so Jorden Peterson goes on this interview with Piers Morgan. So let's listen to this opening. Well, this is not opening. This is winding down to the end of the show, but this is this is Piers going into the final segment for the interview.
I've got to wrap it up. I don't want to, but I have to. I want to ask you just quickly, the film director Olivia Wilde has a new movie out, which she says is based on you, this insane man, this pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community. Incel being these weirdo loner men.
Now, I want to
pseudo-intellectual.
I want to pause for just a second. Now, remember that opening tweet that I showed you guys? Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. Let's bring it right back up here for a second. Variety magazine put out a tweet that says, Jorden Peterson breaks down in tears when asked about Olivia Wilde calling him a hero to the incel community. Sure, why not? Jorden Peterson did not break down, in my opinion, about being called a hero to the incel community. What he broke down to, because if you watch when Piers starts opening up this segment, he brings up the movie, he brings up the author of this movie, and he chuckles, he laughs, he's very, oh yeah, yes. But then then Piers Morgan. Let me just back up for a second here on the video here a little bit. Anyway, Piers Morgan does a little bit of a little riff, if you will, on this group of young men, and just listen to what he says.
Incel community, incel being these weirdo loner men who are despicable in many ways. Is that you? Are you the intellectual hero to these people?
Sure. Why not?
Now, do you notice how Jorden
his demeanor
changes, shifted, right? He was happy, he was jovial, and then the minute that Piers starts describing this group of men, his demeanor changes completely.
Well, it's like these people, this infuriates me to know, is like these people are like, you call yourself an empath, you call yourself somebody who cares, but then you so flippantly disregard a portion of the population who genuinely need help. And it's always like, what? Because you castigate them into this role as privileged or otherwise or something. Yes. And it's like, but there's still, regardless of your life circumstance, if you look upon somebody who's struggling and they need a way out and to be a productive member of society, shouldn't you and I get that people are fucking pieces of shit and they lead themselves down roads into their own fucking consequences. But again, at any fucking moment, have you looked at this person and gone with any empathy and gone, yeah, that's a human being. Yeah, that is struggling and they're hurting. And it's like, maybe their fucking problems are trivial, but not to them.
No.
To them, their problems are the fucking biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you but to solidify that point, these people call themselves empaths, but they don't give a fuck. They don't.
And I also want to take a second to draw a distinction, right? Yeah. Because there is, to me, maybe this is naive and maybe this is wrong thinking. I don't know. And if it is, I won't Banana to correct me. I want chat to interact or people that's watching the VOD. I want you to comment down in the below and have open up this dialogue or conversation with me, because I truly am wanting to know this. There are two different groups of incels. Okay. There are this group of people who have voluntarily put themselves into this quote incel label, and they have a very jaded, they have a very toxic look or view towards women, and they're just edgelords, right? And then you have this other group. These are just average guys who are average looking, or hell, even below average looking, that are just your blue collar, run of the mill, just good salt of the earth type guys who are out here trying to make their lot in life and the world around them a little bit better place, but they are dejected, they are rejected, they are overlooked, they are passed over because they don't have maybe these what they call it, giga chad bodies, and they don't have $200,000, $300,000 homes, or they don't have these high-end high performance cars, right?
Okay, well, first of all, there's those two groups. There's more than just the two groups, but the first group you're talking about is like 4chan. Like 4chan fucking memers.
Okay.
And it's like the idea that there are people alienated by so there's people alienated by our culture, by the American fucking system at this point, at this late stage in our fucking empire. It's like when you read things like Freakonomics, great book, by the way, go look it up. You see that they had programs like No Child Left Behind where they incentivized teachers to lie about fucking children's grades and pat them when they were not ready, instead of taking care of the fucking kids and teaching them and sending them on through fucking school all the way up. And whenever they got to the real world, they had no fucking experience, no kind of work ethic, nothing, no discipline, because nobody gave a fuck about their education. And you look at things like that and you see how our government and our fucking school systems have lazily failed the entire generation of children. And you have a group of adult people who are unable to cope with life because nobody fucking took part in their development as a child. And you want to sit there and blame them? And like, how could you? When shit's so fucked up and you change the rules of the fucking norm daily and you make everything arbitrary.
Yeah.
And you're going to sit there and fucking make fun of these people that have been forgotten by the system. I don't get it. I get why people feel alienated. Like so many people 100%. I talk to, like, they just don't want to fucking part in society because everything's a fucking joke.
Well, here's the thing.
Clown world.
I think it's well known I'm an old man, right? I grew up in the 80s, right? And so when in the late 80s, early 90s, when I was out of high school and was trying to, make my own way in the world, I was one of those guys. I'm not a looker. I'm not but I had an education. I had a decent job. I was making decent wages. Vehicle I drove wasn't the greatest. I had a decent apartment, but I couldn't get a woman to give me the flipping time of day. Right? I didn't know any of these. I just, and there was not a Jorden Peterson out there, or anyone like that. Right? And so all I saw was these girls that were chasing after these quote bad boys, right? The ones that were treating them like garbage and was just using them as some sort of either arm candy or just sexual gratification. And then they were sitting there and these girls were puzzled. They couldn't understand. They didn't understand. Well, why are they? Well, because that's what you're seeking. You will get what you seek. What your heart desires is what you will go after, right? Because those are priorities for you. And so now that's not to say that there's not good looking guys that have, make a lot of money and all that are not decent guys. I'm not saying that at all. But, they would go after these bad boy type things. And after so long, after years of seeing all that, I said, I kind of turned my back on all the things that my dad and my uncles and my grandfathers taught me on how to treat women. And I turned my back on all that. And I started becoming more like one of these players, right? Or these whatever. And luckily enough that when, I met my wife, she was patient enough to kind of get me deprogrammed from all that and get back to the way I was raised. And to appreciate a woman and to understand that they're not there just for, a trophy to carry on your arm or someone to just sexually gratify you, but it's a partnership that should occur. And there has to be, mutual respect there. And I'm so thankful that my wife.
How can you have respect for the other person if you don't have respect for yourself? Like,
fair point. Yeah, right. Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you gotta take care. Like that's kind of a
Yeah.
like the I think it's deeper than just that. And no, I'm not trying to be like I'm not trying to disregard your story in any way.
Yeah.
I just think the modern issue. It's like Parsavar says in the chat here.
Yeah.
It's not about having sex. I don't believe. I believe it's about people, male and female, who have lost their purpose or never found it. I see it hard to socialize when you feel not needed. Just my take. I could believe. No, Mari says, "Amen." I always felt like a third wheel in every friend group I had. I was completely surprised that my husband even had interest in me. It's just, I think there's a big void in the meaning aspect of people's lives. I think
But
there's a lot of things that go into it.
okay,
I think a lot.
but to the point,
Yeah.
right? Okay, to what I
Yeah.
was saying,
Oh, sorry.
people they seek out that right, and no, this is to Pacifier and to Marie's thing. Yes, the women seek out that thing in men, right? They want they want the bankroll, right, or they want the flashy stuff. But they seek out the same thing in their friendships with their female friends or whatever, right? They seek that out too. Because it's about, if you don't have a certain standard, if you're not at a certain socioeconomic status or at a certain level socially in your community, I mean, look at it online. Look at the people. Look where we exist, right? Look at like, if you don't have so many Twitter followers, or if your YouTube channel don't have so many subscribers or whatever, right? If you don't have this quote clout, then guess what? You know,
Yeah.
you don't matter. You're not accepted. You're not part of the crew. You're not welcome. And we are, our real world, our IRL, right, as they say, has mimicked and become what we are online social, our social medias. It's just the same damn thing. And to that point, that's, and you have guys out here and women. This is not just a guy thing. You have young people out there that do not know how to just, I don't know, man. I don't know what word I want to put on this. They just don't know how to exist, how to have a purpose in life, how to, just
Nobody taught them the
Yeah.
ethics or the like. So the institute, the community has been completely shattered by the state.
yeah.
Like by the access to internet. I can't remember what video I watched, but there was a video I watched recently. Somebody explaining the dissolution of community in America and how they like tried to make up for it by instituting malls. Like malls were supposed to be the meeting place. We usually had like
Yes.
bars and like
Sure. Yeah.
like public places where people would go to hang out and stuff.
Yeah.
But that even the malls started dying out too. But anyways, to the point, I think a lot of the aspects of community have completely dissolved into online insulated places.
Yeah.
You don't have elders. People like you don't have like you don't have family units. That's been destroyed. People don't have their community to rely on to instill wisdom into them. We've shattered the American ethic, which is the Western ethic, which is Judeo-Christian. Like it or not, that's what it is. People don't have a why, and they need to have a why. People who have a why can withstand anyhow, and I think that's Friedrich Nietzsche for that quote. But and I think a lot of it has to do with development. A lot of my generation was supremely fucked, and I think a lot of what people are feeling is the lack of investment in their lives by the people who raised them, whether it be parents, whether it be their community, whether it be their teachers. Because a lot of the things that happened during our development, the kids of the 90s, the educational system took a huge shit. And they, like I said, unless you were in a rich school district, the teachers were incentivized to just lie about your development, because they would get fired if not, or they'd lose funding. So in that, I really believe that's the core of the issue, is that like there were so many kids that were just fucking failed upward.
Yeah.
And once they got to the real world, they had no fucking utility because they were never taught anything and they have no why.
Well, let's continue listening to this interaction between Piers and Dr. Jorden here.
Who are despicable in many ways. Is that you? Are you the intellectual hero to these people?
Sure. Why not? People have been after me for a long time because I've been speaking to disaffected young men You know, what a terrible thing to do that is. I thought the marginalized were supposed to have a voice.
It's making you emotional. Talk about that.
Well,
see, and that's another thing too, right? And that was one of the people that was in the tweets talking about these young men, young ladies that, you know, that they're discussing here. They are not accepted as to being a marginalized group. And they are a marginalized group.
Or they're rejected from society.
They are rejected 100%. They are overlooked. They are considered the dregs of society, and therefore they have no worth, right? And that's what they're told. And it's such a blatant lie.
God, you know, it's very difficult to understand how demoralized people are. And certainly many young men are in that category. And you get these casual insults, these incels. What does it mean? It's like, well, these men, they don't know how to make themselves attractive to women who are very picky, and good for them. Women, like, be picky. That's your gift, man. Demand high standards from your men. Fair enough. But all these men who are alienated, it's like they're lonesome and they don't know what to do, and everyone piles abuse on them.
When she said that, Olivia Wilde, it stung you, didn't it? I saw the
Oh,
reaction.
by that time, you know, that as far as critiques go, that was kind of low level. I mean, once I got painted as Red Skull, you know, magical super Nazi.
And he's right. I mean, once you're labeled that, is there really?
He literally was. If the viewer doesn't know, he was literally put into fucking Marvel Comics by this woke piece of shit as a fucking Nazi supervillain.
Yeah.
I don't know how you see him as a Nazi.
Yeah.
This guy cries in like every interview about how like he because people come up to him in fucking droves of all walks of life, of all fucking race, of all fucking creed, and they say to him, "Hey, you saved my life. Thank you." And he's weeping in interviews all the time. And they're like, "Oh, he's a Nazi. He's a hateful piece of shit." How does a hateful person cry like that about other people's success?
Oh, like
I don't understand the disconnect here.
And like that moron. Oh, he's tricksy. See, they don't.
That's super Trixie Peterson crying like a baby on TV.
Yeah,
that's super Trixie. He's being fucking 4D chess.
Yeah. So to your point, let's just read some of the comments underneath this video. Okay, let's just take a look at some of these comments. Okay, so this comment says, Jorden Peterson saved me from a suicidal depression. He's a hero and should be held in the highest regard. I wouldn't be alive without his real life advice. Okay. This one here says, Dr. Jorden Peterson is a very sensitive man. He cares about his family, and I love the way he speaks. He is an honest man who cares about people. He stands his ground and his beliefs. A wonderful human being. God bless him. He has my respect 100%. This one here says, this might have been the first time I actually had respect for Piers. Great conversation. We need more of this kind of intellectual intercourse. This conversation outlines why free speech is so necessary.
I mean, at this point, it's like, if it's not blatantly obvious to you, I genuinely don't know what to tell you. Yeah. When I'm saying blatantly obvious, I mean like the authoritarian push by these fucking rabid people who only care for furthering their political agenda in extending the tendrils of power they have over their bureaucratic offices. Meaning these people who are like these liberal news outlets who are funded by conglomerates who are also lobbying Democratic National Convention. It's like, I don't understand how it's not plainly obvious. If you're going to play the party game, if you're going to fall into the bipolar, the fucking schism, or the dichotomy that's being cast in the news, that's separating everyone. There really are only two groups, by the way. There's the plutocrats who are like beyond godly rich that we've never even heard their names. These fucking people that have more money than nations. And there's you. And there's the 99% of people who are just fucking slaving away.
Yeah.
So like I get how you can get wrapped up in the disconnect, but my God, like anyways, yeah.
It just when I see things like this, and maybe it's because as I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot more gentler, softer. I was not always. You asked my sons. I wasn't always as soft, I guess, as I am today. I was hard on them because I knew the world and the way that the world was going, so I knew they had to be ready and prepared for what the world was going to throw on them, right? Because we raised them the way I was raised, to be mindful, to be respectful, to have pride in themselves, their parents, and to have a purpose in life, to set goals. I mean, this is where I want to be in 5 years. This is where I want to be in 10 years. And now, don't be so rigid in that to where you're unwavering, but you want to have set expectations for yourselves, right? So you have measuring sticks. And both of my sons, by the grace of God, really have turned into two of the most respectable young men that I know, and seeing them bloom and really just grow is it makes my heart swell with pride. Because let me tell you something. There were some times I just wanted to start over in their teen years. I was so over them. But my wife said, no, hell no, I'm not starting that up again. Forget it. Don't you come near me with that thing. So, but anyway, she made the right decision with us, and so, they turned out fine. They're great boys, and I love them to death. But,
well, they had a good father, so.
But when I see Jorden, and in a lot of ways, I have the same mindset that Jorden has. And one of the reasons, honestly and truthfully, that I started trying to do this whole social media thing, make videos and even this podcast and doing all the things that I'm trying to do, and even here lately, I'll be quite honest with you, it's about to kill this old man, these late hours and all this stuff that I've been doing. But the other day, in one of the chats, I can't remember one of the streams I was on, if it was I don't know. But someone said and asked me, would I be their peepaw? And that just kind of touched me. And maybe they were memeing. I don't know. Maybe they were kind of riffing on me or joking. And if they were, that's all well good. That's fine too. That's no big deal. But I really wanted, and I sincerely mean this. I try to make myself as available to people as I possibly, and I know that it's going to burn me. And I know I'm going into this with my eyes wide open. I know that there's going to be people who are going to come in for the sole purpose of just trying to meme me or rip on me or exploit me in some way, whatever. And I understand that. And that's the risk that you take. And I get that. And I'm okay with that. I really am, because that's about them and it's not about me. But I want to be a person that people can come to, that if they just want someone to listen to them because they feel like they're not being heard, I want to be that person. If they have problems and if I can offer advice or if I can help them in some way, that's what I want to do. Someone made a comment about me, a matter of fact, today, and they said this about me. They said it really, that I don't care about clout, and that's really kind of unfair because I guess I don't care about clout. But they're right, I don't. I don't give two rips about clout. All I really care about is making friends and trying to help those friends as much as I possibly can. Now, does that mean that by doing that I get more friends? Sure, maybe, whatever. Is that considered clout? Then fine, it's clout, but I'm not using it as a power trip, and I would never do that. The only way I would ever use any of my quote clout is if it is in some way to help somebody, because I don't. And yeah, do I rip into people sometimes, and do I ridicule them or mock them or whatever? Yeah, sometimes I do.
I certainly do.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I may add to your point.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think what I found out really early in life, thanks to a lot of hardship, a lot of struggling, most of it self-inflicted, but the things that are important in life is loyalty to the people that you care about.
Yeah.
People that care about you and they invest in you, you invest in them. Your community. I keep a tight circle of people that I trust, implicitly. And what matters to me is the community I've built, the connections I've made, and the loyalty to my friends that I love. And that is what will sustain you through life. Like, friends don't fucking grow as you get older, by the way, folks.
Yeah.
But the connections you make with people and how you treat them and your character over time, how you keep your word, how loyal you are to the people that are close to you, that's what matters. I think that's kind of what you're saying. Where we draw meaning from.
Yeah.
Is
and yes, I have a very
being part of something greater than yourself.
Yes. And yes, I have a very tight group of people that I trust and will go to. Banana is right in there at the core. And I go to him because, quite honestly, a lot of times I don't understand some of the things that are being said. I don't understand some of the little things that are being. I don't, and that's fine. That's fine. I don't feel like I have to. And when I do take somebody to task or take them to the woodshed, as it were, I'm doing it honestly and truthfully. I'm doing it out of wanting the best for them. Just like when I was a kid and I misbehaved or whatever, and my dad, took a belt and spanked me. He didn't do it because he hated me. He did it because he loved me and he wanted me to correct my behavior, because that behavior was not a good trait for me to have, and he didn't want it to become a habit, right? And so, if we take somebody to task on this show, it's not because I want them destroyed, or that, unless there's some sort of, maniacal.
There's a time and a season for everything.
Sure. But
it's like, you can't just do the hee hee ha ha thing for the entirety of it has to be like, this is like a fucking moving thing.
Sure.
And it's gonna, it's gonna catch us as we're moving through life here, This is not always gonna be the same exact thing, which is us trying to be as funny as possible. We most of the time fail at, but we try.
We're going to start kind of winding things down a little bit. It's kind of getting
it's my sleepy time.
But if there's anybody, if you want to call in, hop into the waiting room, we'll pull you in. We'll have a conversation with you. I want to thank again Pulsivar for the donations. I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate everybody that's hung out with us tonight there in chat and talked with us. It means a lot to us. It really does. And I don't want to gush over it and everything like I normally do. But I do appreciate you. Really do.
Yeah, there's no reason to talk if nobody's listening, right? So.
Exactly. Well, but you hope that sometime, maybe somewhere down the road, someone will find it and say, "Oh yeah, that's some good advice." I appreciate that.
If we can, honestly, if I can say one thing that fucking helps somebody, that I've done enough. That's it. I don't care. I really don't give a shit about cloud either. I'm obvious. If you see any social media that I have, you'll realize very quickly I don't understand how to be successful in media.
Yeah.
I don't care. I just I want to I just want to be a part of something, man. Yeah. And I think we were doing something great here.
So anyway, let's kind of wrap some things up, and let's kind of give some places where they can find us the rest of this week. We will be back Sunday. Right, you'll be here this Sunday, right? You just will be here next Sunday.
Yeah, I leave next Friday.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, we will be here Sunday at our regular time, but we felt like we owed you guys this. we needed to make up for it because last Sunday was a complete and total shit show beyond all measures. But anyway, Banana, go ahead and tell people what you've got coming up, what you got going on in your future.
Right. I've got a lot of overtime at work, but I'm gonna try to stream on Twitch. I don't really know how to do Twitch. I just do what I want to do, and if people like want to watch it, then it's fine. I don't know if it'll be necessarily entertaining. I just have fun dicking around with Twitch. So if you want to see me do something stupid on Twitch, go to twitch.tv/bananagrabber, and you'll see me there.
And that's all you need to do, man. Go have fun.
Yeah.
Here's where you can find Peepaw the rest of this week. Peepaw will be on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, producing for Dead on Dave. Wednesday is Willie Mac Wednesdays. Thursdays is Nicholas DiOrio, and Friday, Dave has had Boi DMax join his team. So Boi DMax is on there Friday. Anyway, Pacifier, I appreciate that. And I know you have been very supportful to Dead on Dave, and I think the world of Dead on Dave. He's becoming one of my dearest. He's becoming one of my closest friends. He really is, and I just love the fella.
Outstanding person.
He is
great character, great man. Yeah.
But that's where you can find Peepaw. That's where I'll be. Now you won't hear me a lot because I'm producing over there, so I'm quiet. But if you see the screen change and what's going on, and you'll probably hear Dave yell at me because I don't move fast enough for him sometimes. That's who's doing that. Anyway, I'm just trying to help him out as much as I can, and because again, like I said, I'm all about trying to help people. But I did want to just once again in closing kind of say thank you to Peanut for teaming up with me. I think I've made a new friend there. I really like her. And I want to thank Salvo for even giving me the opportunity to be in front of that many people. That was, I don't know. I may not have been very entertaining to them. I don't know. I sometimes wonder if I am entertaining or if I'm, but I try to be in my own way, and I'm slow about it sometimes, and that's okay too. So, because we're all the same and we're all loud and high energy, and then to me that'd be kind of boring, I think. But
God, I can't do that.
Anyway, so listen, with that, I'm gonna wish you guys all a wonderful, wonderful evening. I hope you guys have a great evening. We will see you back here Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, you know what you got to do. You got to keep that powder dry and look for us in the funny papers. Good night, folks.